Kid Film Festival Filmmaker Roundtable. We've got a lot of filmmakers here who have shorts that are playing, streaming here from the second Billy the Kid Film Festival, which is a special version because it also teams up with the Women Texas Film Festival. So it's Heiko meeting Dallas with a special focus on Texas filmmaking and women behind the camera too. I know that we've got a couple people here that I know that have been at my festivals that I've worked on, and so let's go down and have each one of you. Now, we don't want to spend all of our time putting out our resumes, but we can introduce each other and the films, and so let's start with Carmen. Introduce yourself.
Oh shoot, I'm going first. Okay. Hi, I'm Carmen Sims. I was the co-director for a student short film called Bullseye. And me and a couple of my other teammates are here today, a couple of other our artist leads. And okay. We are all from the Texas A&M Visualization Department. Okay,
and who else is here from Team Bullseye?
Jared Derry and Emma Mormon, if you guys want to go right ahead.
Okay, great. All right. And Tim, why don't you go next?
Hey, everybody. I'm Tim Ashby. I played Clint in The Wolf, directed by M.R. Fitzgerald. I'm based in Chicago now, but I'm from Houston, Texas. So, woo!
Okay, and we have M.R. here as well. All right, great. Do we have anybody else from Wolf?
Yep, our DP and gaffer, John and Dylan, are with us as well. So hi, guys.
Okay.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, and they're our mystery members because we can't see them. How ironic, since they're behind the camera. Okay.
Yeah. And sorry, my Zoom dropped off a bit, so I'm also guilty of that. So.
Okay, we can see you. Brian, one of the folks that I know here quite well. Brian, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. How's it going, John? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, so I'm the co-director, writer, producer of Age of Bryce with my buddy, Dave Fagan. Dave, you want to say hi?
There we go.
Hey, right there.
All right. And Brian and David are two folks here that can tell everybody else on this group that how you were able to dodge a bullet and not be on my red carpet this year, thanks to COVID.
Yeah, we've done a few of those, haven't we?
Exactly. Okay. Sharon, why don't you go next?
Yes, sorry, I had to unmute. I'm Sharon Arteaga, and at this film festival, I have a short video essay called When You Clean a Stranger's Home. That's playing with 3 other films made by some female Texas filmmakers. And we had a 98% female cast and crew through post-production for our film, and I'm excited to be here.
All right, and just I think this is the second one or third one you've played of my fest, because we were Sunny Las Americas earlier, and then of course Women Texas last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, how about you? Why don't you introduce yourself? Uh-oh, I think you got your sound off.
Okay. Right, must have clicked twice. I'm Andrew Chen, the writer-director of Ghost in the Gun, supernatural short western, and I'm here in California.
Okay, all right. And Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma. This is Luke. We did The Ballad of Beau Blanc. I animated, directed, and we both co-wrote the song in it. And we both just graduated from the University of the Arts in Philadelphia this past May. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, and of course, Philadelphia, everybody loves Philadelphia right now. So,
yep.
So good on you. And then we also have Emma Mormon. You have 2 Emmas. And there we go.
Sorry, I'm actually part of the Bullseye team.
Oh, right. All right. So, all right, I want to make sure now I get everybody what we be. And your sound is off.
Yes. Hello. My name is Wiebe Bonnema. I'm from the Netherlands, and I am the director of the student film The End. It's my graduation film. I graduated with that last year in the Netherlands, in Europe.
Very cool. What time is it there?
It's 2:00 in the night. So after this, I'm going to bed.
You are a trooper, sir. Thank you for doing that. Okay. Who have I missed? Jason?
Hi, Jason Barrera here. I'm the writer and director of In the Hiding, a Western film. I'm a recent graduate from SCAD from Atlanta, Georgia. But my stories are based out of Texas, and I'm from Texas. So that's the film that I made.
Awesome. And Caitlin.
Hi, everybody. I'm writer director of the short film Paralysis, and I'm based in DFW, Texas, so North Texas.
There we go. Okay. Well, I'm in southern Dallas, so awesome. All right. So now, did I get everybody? I want to make sure that everybody had a chance to introduce people in our audience that are taking notes. So, does everybody introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Luis Paulo de la Fuente. I'm the writer and director of En la Nada, a Mexican student short film, and I'm really excited to be here.
Okay, so ironically, Luis, you were Snake Pit on this one. Okay, all right. Okay.
One more intro real fast. I'm Lisa Belcher. I'm the director, producer, and I played the role of Jane in the Western comedy called Javelina Run. And also on the call is Aaron Hale. He is our writer and played the role of Clarence.
Oh, yes. Of
hey,
course.
guys.
Sorry about that, you guys. All right. So, again, the cool thing about having all of you here is that, in a typical film festival, all of you would be at a party together, which would be really wild for our friend from the Netherlands who would have flown over to be in Hyco, Texas with us. And so this is one of those rare chances where, we can all chat about some shared experiences and the pain in the assery of making a film and achieving that. And I do a lot of film festivals. I work with a lot of festivals, and across the board, whenever I ask about the concrete benefits of having a film at a film festival, it is making that connection with other filmmakers. It is being able to have folks that you can reach out to, maybe for them to hire you, maybe for you to hire them, maybe for just somebody to give you a reference because you need a sound guy at the last minute, or you need somebody that that can come up with an awesome props person. So this connection that everybody, even though we're doing it virtually, is key for us. I want to start off first because we've got a few folks that are animators that whose films were animation, and I would love for you and whoever wants to speak first to talk about why animation is where you chose to go with to tell your short film story. So Team Bullseye, you want to jump in?
Sure, happily. So the reason that we chose animation as a medium is because we are training to be animators, essentially. The visualization program at Texas A&M is, the best way I can describe it is like a combination of 3D animation and computer science. So we're learning how to animate, but we're also learning how to make animation tools, a lot of some of the more background stuff of animation that not everyone is aware of. But every year not every year, I'm sorry. Every semester, we all split up into teams and we essentially each produce a student short film. This is to, one, give us experience in just working with an animation workflow, and two, it helps us get a little bit of a taste of like which part of the pipeline of the animation pipeline that like we really enjoy. So actually today, Jared and Emma, if you want to share just a bit of like your experience, because we have a cool thing where we do we have a vertical studio. So sophomore, juniors, and seniors, we're all combined into one class, and we all work on animation together in groups. So seniors are typically leaders, and then juniors and sophomores are secondary leads on, say, modeling, textures, animation, all that fun stuff. So I'll let my teammates go ahead and speak for themselves as well.
All right. Who else do I have here in the animation landscape? I know we've got, I knew Team Europe was going to join in. All right.
Well, for me, it was also a graduation film from school. So I'm also becoming an animator. At my school, it was didn't really have a team, so I had to do almost everything myself. So it was more a one-person job with asking a lot of favors for cleaning backgrounds and coloring, lining. But it was fun to do, to make it all on your own as well.
It's such a I mean, it's whether it's a narrative film, or documentary or animated, of course they all have their ordeals. But I was actually talking to a filmmaker in another film festival this morning with a feature film, and he's a musician as well, and it took him 8 years to make his rock opera animated film, because he did all the music and he ended up doing all the animation himself. And you're like going, holy crap. I mean, that's like, man, you just like lived with that film for close to a decade. So for our short projects, you guys can take a little breath knowing that, that you didn't spend 8 years on this thing. All right, so now I want to segue really quickly, because we're going to jump all over the map before we start getting questions. We've got folks that have shot films in Texas, and I want to talk about the films that you guys did shoot in Texas, and how how that was key. Of course, there's some ease if you live here, you're not going to travel to to shoot something unless you absolutely have to. But I come to this from the conversation I had with someone also earlier today, talking about the specifics of using Texas as a location, and the flavor that it brings with you. And interestingly enough, while it's not like you guys had a Texas noir film or anything like that, but there still is kind of a quirky Texas thing about Age of Bryce. So Brian, David, guys, why don't you guys start off with this? Because I'm curious to hear your guys' perspective on it.
Sure. Well, one, I teach at Baylor University, and so our students, we do as a workshop with our students. And so one, Texas, because that's where Baylor is. But two, I tell you, so we're in Waco, and one of the things that we experience in Waco, and really any place in Texas that we shoot, is Texans are just friendly. They like you showing up, and their first question isn't, how much money are you going to pay me? Their first question is like, yeah, what can we do? Do you want to use this? My little brother, you want to use him? And so we love being around just because it's a friendly place to shoot, and it's user friendly. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, typically, they haven't got the memo didn't go out like in California, where Dallas is kind of this way, but if you set a tripod down, they're not coming after you for some kind of location fee. So you can pretty much do whatever you wish to do. You can actually facilitate your shoot with just asking the municipalities. They'll turn over cars. They'll catch things on fire. It's amazing how quickly these small communities will absolutely, create a wreck in the center of town. And only to say this, and you think of things that won't ever die. I was on a zombie film way back, almost 8 or 9 years. Oh man, I guess it may be now 9 years ago, that still won't die. Okay, so there is something true about the zombie theories. I don't believe in it much, but the bottom line is that the city of Belmead, basically we had full realm of anything that we wanted. So they created this scene where they flipped maybe 15 cars over with forklifts. They caught them on fire. And then this scene that they had to run through this Armageddon basically was part of that. But to go back with Age of Bryce is that, yeah, I mean, it's really open arms. In many respects, it's very much open arms. And we did shoot in Waco, but I would say that with some of these, I'm real interesting about so many cowboy and or Western films. I'm kind of curious. There are so many untouched communities, very much like Heiko, that you could wall off the back side of the street, and you have so much texture to work with that if you wanted in that kind of state, right? It's just almost already art directed in some respects. It doesn't take much. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, that's one attribute. So there's other places. I'm not going to kid myself to say this, but but it is an open playing field. The questions are you going to have a tractor run across your scene in the middle of nowhere? You may have that. I don't know. So yeah, it's good. It's good people and easy to work in. I can tell you that.
Okay. What about Lisa, Caitlin? Did you? Either of you? Let's talk about about your location work.
Yeah. So we shot Javelina Run out in Blanco, Texas, at a place called the Pine Moor Old West Studio. And like David was saying, we didn't have a whole lot of art direction that had to happen because so much was set up there. It's also called the Buggy Barn, and they rent out all sorts of different buggies, and they have amazing props that have been used in loads of different Westerns in throughout the years and other things. So we found it to be a lovely place to film. And one of the wonderful things that helped us also with budget is there are a lot of reenactors around that area who wanted to be part of the film, had the appropriate costumes and everything and props and were willing to come be part of the film. So it was really a great experience for us there. And yeah, 2 thumbs up for filming in Texas, definitely.
Awesome. All right. Now I've got a question from the audience, but I want to make sure that if somebody else has to weigh in, but because again, like I said, we are focusing quite a bit with the film festival this year on our Texas production. So anybody else want to talk about shooting here in Texas? No, you guys clearly really don't like shooting in Texas. I get it. Okay, fine. No. All right. Here's the question from the audience. Any of the films we have right here, and of course we're talking about films that we shot, not our animated films. Or in fact, let's not just limit it to the films that we have in the festival, but has anyone worked on projects this year that had to work around COVID restrictions to shoot?
Film-wise or reality TV? I mean,
No.
Where are you going?
Film-wise, like on the set, and and having to to deal with with what we have to go through right now to do our protocols.
I just wrapped a 1-day short film, and I'll just say it was a lot more effort to make sure that everybody was safe and that we had the protocols in place and everything. The fact that it was a small shoot and there was only about 15 of us, I think allowed it to be a success because it wasn't SAG. I don't think I could do a SAG project at this time just with the budgetary. I don't know if anyone else has any comments if they've done SAG, but as far as the amount of testing that you had to do and all of that, I felt it was just very cost prohibitive as far as that. But it was successful, and everyone was dying to be creative and get on set, and so they were totally down to wear their masks and all that. So I would say it was a positive experience for me.
Anybody else?
Yes, I've done like right when everything opened, everybody again, like she said, was ready to just be on set, but the challenging was limited crew. So we couldn't have as many people on set as we would normally like to have. So we did like a short film that was mainly outside. So that was okay because we could spread out. But then after that, I directed 2 episodes of a mini series, and the biggest challenge again was, less crew. But one thing that I liked and I kind of observed this year was how much more compassionate and understanding a lot of people were. Because most of the time you're just stressing about everybody being there on time, or if cast says, oh, I can't come, then everybody's kind of annoyed or whatever. But this year a lot of people were a lot more patient and a lot more understanding, and I feel like it helped to bring a communication and an openness to people, and that it was okay to kind of communicate that and kind of be generous to people and their safety.
It's funny. I was talking to a filmmaker that or a effects person, does prosthetics and effects, and I guess she's been working quite a bit actually, and she said, the drawback for her was that it was like her daily like kit costs had gone up like about $150 a day because of cleaning stuff and things that she had to have. And she goes, but the one benefit was that, that sometimes we get like that stress, a cold or flu when we finish a shoot or what have you. And she said, because the cleaning protocols were so strict that she's been healthy the entire year. So she steered clear of that, which I thought, okay, well, that's kind of a weird kind of thing, but there you go. Now let's, we've got a couple a couple of international filmmakers. I know one of our guys is animated, but are our protocols different from what we're doing in the States versus what we're doing outside the States? Do we know? Bueller? Okay, all right, I'll move on. All right, here's the next one, and this is again, if we were all in the room together, you guys would have a chance to ask each other things. And so here's a moment where I want to give, our team, our big giant grid, and give you guys an opportunity to ask the group something that normally, again, if we were having, a big, group session, that you would have, that opportunity. Well, let's do it virtually. So does one of you have a question for the group as a whole or anybody individually within here?
I want to ask about Westerns. What is the big push on Westerns? I was in a previous red carpet last night, and I could not believe how many Westerns were being attempted. Attempted and completed. Give me that. Tell me about that.
Okay, Westerns, folks. Who wants to weigh in? Who wants to be the person that officially is in charge of all Westerns here? Nobody's festing up. I'm gonna go to Luis, because Luis is, again, your film is not a Western, but the setting is very obviously Western-esque, and and it's obviously key to your film. So sure. I would love for you to talk about that.
Yeah, so, well, I've always loved Westerns, thanks to my dad. I used to watch a lot of Westerns with him, and I always want to make a Western. And I have a lot of ideas to my first short film, my first student short film. And, well, I had this idea of making like an anti-Western, something that looks and sounds like a Western, but the story is like the complete opposite, like, you have these beautiful landscapes, you have this epic music, but the story is like I don't know, it's kind of pathetic. It's about a guy dying. There's no heroes, there's no anti-heroes, there's no action, but it looks like a Western. So yeah, that was like kind of like the idea behind En La Nada.
And Andrew, dude, you got to speak up.
I don't know what
You
else to say. Maybe you guys have questions.
All right, Andrew, let's talk about your film, because maybe not
Sure.
Western, but come on.
So, so I've always loved Westerns as well, and this project actually came about because I was originally going to help someone else make a Western, but he ended up shelving his project. So I was thinking to myself, what would I make if I made a Western? And the genre is so great because I think it's also ripe for kind of reinvention. It's been part of like Star Wars and other things like that, kind of gritty, storytelling. And I think it's a great place, very gritty, like, in kind of, I don't know, it's a good time to like, remake it, in like when I was making my film, my hope is to, make several of these and possibly TV show, and I want to like incorporate more, modern things and change kind of like how we've thought about Westerns before. And, maybe add more history, because the Westerns we know are very much caricatures, and like, we can start adding to it now, and bring it more into the modern times.
Yeah, combining genres is just a fun thing, at least in the way I look at it. Jason, let's get you in on this conversation.
Oh yeah, so Westerns have always been a big part of my life as well. Same with Luis. I was watching Westerns with my father, Stagecoach, True Grit, all these really awesome Westerns growing up. I was watching my cartoons, and my dad would give me $20 just to watch a Western, right? I was like, okay, Dad, you can take over. So I've always been fascinated with Westerns, and I was shooting in Georgia, and I had to find a Texas-looking location in Georgia while trying to produce this Western. And the story that I told was what was happening on the Texas border, because I'm from Laredo, Texas. And back then, the Texas-Mexican Revolutionary War was going on, and a lot of the Mexican Revolutionary War was going on. A lot of Mexicans were fleeing north into Texas. So I wanted to tell that story, like how the Texas Rangers just wanted to kill every single Mexican crossing the border, which is very relevant to what's going on today, right? So to tell that story and to tell them the style of a Western, I'd like, is it going to be a historical piece, or am I going to do a Western? So my DP, my producer, we bumped our heads, and we finally made a Western that actually, is suitable to what we were hoping for. But we shot it in Georgia, but everything in Georgia, I just want to let you know, they want to imitate Texas. So they have every barbecue place in Georgia is Texas barbecue. The locations that they built for their Western filming locations, we filmed at a ghost ranch, and they modeled it after Texas. So it was extremely beneficial for our film, and it fit everything so perfectly. And the story we told was so important, and it's my baby. So I'm extremely proud for something like that. Absolutely.
Right. All right. Let's talk about Ballad of Beau Blanc. That's a Western. Yes, it's animated, but still, you guys qualify. So let's talk about and specifically because you're dealing with iconographic imagery, right? When you're dealing with animation and you can play with that. So I would love for you guys to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, in animation, it's a limitless medium, but it's also one of those things where you really have to make sure your audience understands what's going on. Like, while it's so malleable in its art form, but you still have to make sure your audience can keep track of your style, for one thing, or the story, if there's especially no dialogue, which is such a big thing. Like live action, you can relate to these actual human figures while they're on screen, even if they're not talking. You as a human understand their behavior, whereas it's a little harder to relate to, cartoons or whatever. So that was kind of fun to play with. The main inspiration for The Ballad of Beau Blanc was A Fistful of Dollars, the Clint Eastwood movie. Took a lot of imagery from that movie, especially a lot of the colors, wanted to keep it hot. So yeah, a lot of the imagery was just super Western oriented, the orange and reds, horses, cowboy hats, outlaws, etc., wanted posters. I think it's like super important to like really just hit the nail on the head with all that stuff in animation. And it was really fun to make for me. Doing it independently during COVID was a treat, let me tell you, as a student, you know, working from home. So that was quite the experience. And we both had fun writing the song too. And the song is also very Western oriented. So yeah, it was really fun.
Awesome. Well, yeah, now I want to segue into talking about our women behind the camera, and specifically, you know, often as we talk about the difference between, you know, when we're shooting stuff, female gaze versus a male gaze, and you know, and what you know, and what you as directors and writers, how you may approach, you know, literally how you frame a scene, how you play it out, versus you know the guys that are whose faces we see here. So let's start off. Let's talk about the wolf. Mr. I would love, you haven't weighed in yet, so I would love for you to start off on this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I apologize. My internet's been not behaving. But thank you. And I'll kind of add in the my movie. I was kind of arguing with my faculty whether it was a Western or not. When I started, yeah. And I was like, it's a neo-Western and it's a Western. And they were like, but there's like, no one shoots anybody. And I was like, oh my God, like, you know, there's different, you know, different things can happen in a genre. And honestly, like when I started off writing my movie, it was a cult film. My characters, they grew up in a cult together. One escaped and one was left behind. And then they reunite years later. And the film was about, you know, what that reunion looks like and the aftermath of their trauma growing up in this cult. However, as I was writing the script, I was using language and visuals and images that looked more out of a Western than out of a typical like cult film or what we've seen on the news about cults. I wasn't as interested in, you know, usually that narrative is how did the cult leader take over, like, you know, sexual assaults, like rape and murder and mayhem. And this time I wanted to focus less on what happened and more like how what happened affected the characters. And, you know, as a woman, you know, making films, I've had it good and I've had it bad. And usually I love that everyone talks about being more inclusive on sets and being more diverse behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. And I do, you know, I do want to give so much, you know, kudos to my cast and crew because they trusted in me, you know, and females, you know what it's like to when you're trying to make a movie or work with people and they don't trust you just because you're a woman. And I've gotten that quite a bit in my time making films. And this was my thesis film out of OU. And you know, when you find those crew members and cast members who don't treat you that way, they treat you like a writer and director, just like everybody else. Like it's a blessing. And they don't try to take over the movie, but they help you make the movie. And I was going through, you know, difficult times making the film, but they were patient with me. Like they still believed in me and they, you know, did their jobs. They made sure I didn't have anything to worry about on set. And they brought in ideas that made the movie what it is today. So, you know, that's an excellent, you know, lesson I learned making films, but especially on this one. And I guess I don't know if you mind, like if my cast and crew members kind of weigh on it as well, John.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yay.
Where are we at? Okay.
I guess I'll go next. I was the gaffer on The Wolf, and we'd worked with Megan on her second year film as well, so we already had kind of a good working relationship there. We all graduated different years, but we all went to the same graduate program, so we were kind of already familiar with working together and just kind of had a good relationship going. And it's always nice to work with people that you've worked with before and you already kind of have those pre-established communication methods and just kind of, you've already got a good groove going. And so when you start doing multiple projects together, it just makes everything run a lot smoother and easier.
Well, you know, I mean, you know, when we're on a film set, it's all about problem solving, right? You know, and it's always about getting your pages in. It's all about making your day. It's all about that. And if ever there's a scenario where everybody is equalized, because your goal is we need to get this thing done and we need to get in the best way. I've always thought like the film set was the best place for that. And I also want to make sure that I get everybody to weigh in on this. And Sharon, you dropped out but you came back. So before you drop out again, I want to make sure that we hear from you, because again, I've had you at a couple of my festivals with a couple different films, and so I would love for you to talk about this, about this topic as well. Yep, your sound's off.
Ah, you think we would learn by now. You two, you were talking about male gaze versus female gaze as a female creator. And for this particular film at this festival, it's about two domestic workers. And I feel like everything I had been seeing, especially when it came to Latina domestic workers, was like some kind of scandalous love affair with like a white man in a household and like this like exotic Latina. And like I grew up cleaning houses with my mom, and I think not only am I bringing my female perspective to it, but just like I know what it's like to be in a stranger's toilet and scrubbing it down while they're in the house, and it's just the weirdest experience around you. And so there was a part of me that was like, okay, I'm putting another maid Latina on the screen, but it's like, but this is my authentic representation of it, and she's not getting, into some scandalous affair in the house or creating issues in the house. So I feel pretty happy that I was able to do that, because I mean, even a progressive step forward was Alfonso Cuarón's Roma, which had a domestic worker also there, but like it was still being told from a male perspective, and it was kind of more his recollections as like the person in the place of privilege looking at a nanny figure that was not in a place of privilege. So I feel like there's still another angle to be told of that story, and you get something different when it's something coming from the person that's actually been through that experience. And I mean, it's a 6-minute short film, so it's nowhere near Roma's accomplishments either, but I think you can tell that it was, we're not fetishizing anybody on screen through this. So, yeah.
All right, I've got another question coming up from the audience, but before I go to that question, I want to go to Mike Scarlett, who came in late, and I want to make sure that we welcome Mike in here from Sheriff Gunn. So and Mike, I also noticed you pulled out your guitar. So you're going to perform for us? What's going on there, dude?
No, I just wanted something to lean my arms on.
Uh-oh. You're a little faint.
Huh, wonder why.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I just needed something to lean my arms on. No, I am a composer though, and I wrote the music for my film. So, love music, love writing.
So we had some double duty on that one. Okay, so let me get to our audience, because I want to make sure we take care of our audience as always. And but before we get that, something, Andrew, you wanted to add something in about the female gaze thing. So let's hear from you.
Yeah, so we had a pretty mixed crew, and that was super helpful on set for like problem solving. But also, I wanted to mention, like, during the edit process, it was really important. Like, one of my key editors, Rina Yamamoto, it was instrumental in helping me like rethink like how to cut it. But also, I realized that audiences will interpret things differently. Like, women audience may pick up something subtle differently than men. For example, like we have a shot of him putting like his hand on his wife's stomach, and like very quickly the women understood that she was pregnant or whatever, but the men may not have picked up on that as quickly. So there were several things like that was helpful to have a different perspective, so we kind of understood how the audience might interpret these different things, and we left enough kind of information for everyone.
Right. I remember a feature that I did when we were doing the testing and getting notes from audiences, and one of the notes I got back on this particular film was about a character, and I knew for some reason I knew that a woman had written these notes, and she said, this one character doesn't just need to die, but we need to see him die on screen and horribly. And it was like that whole thing going, well, that's a very specific a direction, and it comes from a very specific place. And I think that's the thing that whether we're talking about Sharon's film, or Andrew, whether we're talking about your film, or or Megan's film, that pursuit of again of the direction, both in the dramatic arc as well as our performances, it really is a difference. And I also think it's one of the things that working with female DPs, there is for me a very key difference, and I have a number of women directors of photography friends, and I love speaking to them about how they shoot and about how how they approach that. I want to now go to the next question from our audience, and this is about casting, and this is a great question, and it's like what for our directors here, what are you looking for casting wise, and I'll add some detail to that, and that's performance, because sometimes you're talking about practicality versus magic in performance, and I would love for for our directors to talk about that. So who wants to take this one first? Who's going to be great?
Are you there?
Yes. All right, Mike,
Yeah.
you're up.
I'm looking for someone. When I cast somebody, I want someone that could be authentic and believable. And acting is really hard to do. And so a lot of people can say the lines, but to make it believable, that's what's important. Looks isn't as important as believability.
Okay.
I want to feel something when they're finished. When they do their lines, I want to feel something.
Sammy, really quickly, I want to pause because I had a couple of you weigh in, and so we're going to get back to casting. But Caitlin, I want you to talk about the thing about the fear of being, and I'll make the quote signs for you, too emotional as a first-time female director. I really want you to talk about this.
Thank you. So building up to directing my short, I am probably just the first couple, because I'm only in my third year of filmmaking. So especially like last year when I was directing my short, I had this like mindset of I have to be a certain way. I have to be more cold as a director. I have to be, because I'm a woman. I can't, if I show any kind of, I felt like, because, I've worked with my male colleagues for a while, and, we have a good working relationship, but we always kind of joke on each other. And so I was always afraid of showing my more vulnerable side to them, and, or if I was irritated at something or whatever, because I had this headset in my vision of like, oh, a male director, and this has happened, can go off and scream at everybody and people will still be on set and be like, okay, fine, but if I did that, then I'd be a B word or whatever, and people would leave. So I just had that mentality. And so one of the last few scenes we were finishing, I had my dad had a stroke, and so I was a lot more in a vulnerable space when we were finishing. So I was a lot more like kind of out of focus and a bit more spazzy. And so, but I'm blessed to say that I have both male and female colleagues that when I just burst out crying in front of them, they're completely just open to it and just, what can we do? It's going to be okay. And no one was judgmental. Nobody was, thinking me less than because I was showing my emotion. And I'm already someone that shows my emotion on my sleeve. And so it was just refreshing to know that, if you're around people that respect you and love you and want and have the same goal of making a creative and wonderful project, that being more emotional or being transparent with your feelings isn't a bad thing. If anything, people can relate to you better. So I want to encourage other female filmmakers to not withdraw themselves, and that it's okay to show kind of every side of you as long as you keep that communication and compassion towards your coworkers.
Exactly. And I'm there. Okay, what do we have next? Okay. Oh, let's go back to our casting issue. Who wants to go back to this and weigh in on their thought processes? As they're targeting folks to be in their film.
I can jump in on that. Like, as Dylan mentioned, I worked with John and her on my previous films, and I also can say the same thing about Tim and Kristen, who were in my movie as well. I worked with them on my second year project, which I westernized a scene from the film Less Caution by Aang Lee. So, and it was a strange piece. It was really dark and twisted, and it dealt with this kind of bizarre relationship between a man and a woman, and it wasn't a typical male and female relationship that we usually see in film. So, I was new, like as Caitlin mentioned as well, like there's a fear of, like, will they kind of think I'm weaker because I don't have the answers, and then male directors can get away with that a little bit easier than female. And honestly, like with that experience with Tim and Kristen, it was okay. It was okay that I didn't know everything, and it was okay that the actors could come in and bring their points of view, and we brought that back to the wolf, and even more so because the wolf was a more personal story and did making the wolf, and it was okay. Like it was the first, and expose myself that way, and I don't know if Tim wants to add anything to that as well, really quick.
Tim?
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting point of the fear of not knowing the answer, because in a way, the whole process is a process of discovery. And I think one thing that's really like, I guess it doesn't make me as insecure anymore when the director says, I don't know, because that gives us an opportunity to figure it out instead of, well, I know all the answers and you do it exactly this way. It's like there's something exciting as an actor when the director says, I don't know, let's try something. And then once we get that ball rolling, once we take that first step, then we can be like, okay, that didn't work. Let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. Maybe if we combine these two things, okay, that kind of worked. Maybe we're in the, so, I mean, obviously if we have time to film and, because I know that like time is money and all that stuff, but as an actor, the process of discovery is so much fun. So, I mean, I encourage the I don't know personally.
Well, I want to go with what we have time for one last question, but I will give this little anecdote about the idea of casting, because again, oftentimes, our focus is somebody to blow us away with the performance, but we also have to remember that sometimes we have technical things that we need to keep in mind, casting wise, and things we need. And this thing that happened to me is that my wife and I made a film about a family of women who were cannibals, and then we found out after we cast this film and we were on the set that out of the 4 of them, 3 of them were vegan. And so we had these scenes where they had all this meat in front of them, and they literally were becoming sick by even the smell of the meat. And I said, something, maybe a note to self, that's something that I should have asked everybody as we were auditioning, if they were going to be okay with this, seeing as how that was a primary, thing that they were going to have to deal with. So there's a lesson learned there. All right, I want to go around with one final question, and this is, and for each of you to talk about this, and because I started off talking about what you as filmmakers get out of the film festival experience. And of course, it's very different right now because we're in virtual film festivals. So, so you're not going to, you don't have red carpets, you don't have, parties and things like that. And we're also, a group of shorts filmmakers. And it's a very different thing that you are trying to achieve, or that you're hoping to achieve, versus someone who has a feature, at a film festival. So I would love for each one of you, to talk about that. And, and because I know some of you have played a number of fests, and some of you maybe not so many. So let's go down, and I'll, in random order, hit each one of you. And Jared, let's start with you.
Hello. Yeah, I would just, so this is my first experience at a film festival, and this is my second animated film, the film Bullseye, and it's definitely interesting to see, because it sounds like a lot of you are further along in your careers. You've been in this for a while longer, and it's really nice to see people with more experience. I'm still in college, so I haven't yet entered the industry. So that outlook is really nice to see at the film festival. So,
all right, good way to get your dip your toe in the water. Emma Mormon, also from Team Bullseye. Let's have you weigh in on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of in the same boat as Jared. This was actually my first team film, I guess, to actually get to render out and see a final product. And I don't know, y'all, just listening to where you are in your careers and some of the things that you've worked on and seeing your stuff, I guess it gives me something to work towards, to just being exposed to some of y'all's work. So
awesome. And let's David and Brian, you guys, let's talk about, by this point, what because it's a very different perspective for the two of you, about the film festival experience. So either one of you, and then the other, finish off.
Go, Brian.
Yeah. So John, you're just avoiding saying we're old, and that's that deal. No, I mean, here's the deal. What I get out of a festival is I enjoy the community that happens. So I enjoy the community of filmmakers. I mean, filmmakers, to be honest, everybody, they're good people. You can't do what we do and slug it out for 12, 14-hour days with these kind of people if you're not kind and enjoyable to be around. And so I enjoy that a lot. I get inspired by that. But I also enjoy the community of every festival has its own flavor, largely by the location that it's from. And so I really enjoy engaging with the community of the people that are there. And, most festivals they treat you so well. And so I really enjoy that opportunity to engage and share and have conversations about the film that we did, because otherwise, it's a film in a vacuum that, is never going to see the light of day or have a conversation about. So festivals are invaluable for me for that reason. Dave?
Yeah, for me, it's ditto on all of that. But for me, it's you see so many crazy ideas and approaches, and that's kind of that human element that's quite amazing to me. And the fact that they condense something in 1 minute, being a short, and tell a story is absolutely amazing. And so that, and again, I don't know if you could have enough experience and do these circuits to not be influenced by absolutely everything you're watching. To come up with original ideas, almost impossible, I think now. After, going through all these things, it's nuts. So it does broaden you. And that's the beauty of it. It's like going to a museum and looking at the paintings, and you take it for what it is, and just the approaches. Yeah. So that's the beauty about the human mind and how this all works.
Jason, why don't you talk about this? Let's make sure we get there. You go.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
The film festival experience. It's like what you hope to get out of what you do at this point. With making shorts out of the film festival experience.
Well, when we're in college, right? They tell you, like, once you make your thesis film, you got to get it out there. You have to make connections. You have to show your film, show your body of work in order to advertise yourself. This is what we're doing, right? So, but at the same time, we know that our stories are essential to what's going on in our world nowadays. So the film festival experience is just extremely important to who we are as storytellers. We need to get our stories out there. We need to have an audience. We need to see who our demographic is, and we need to see who is going to listen, who wants to help us out along our journey. And it's been a great experience so far. I'm hoping that my film and my stories are continue to just get produced and continue to expand. But film like festivals like Billy the Kid is a great foundation to start with, right? Because we are all storytellers, every single one of us on this Zoom chat, and we each have a voice, and the voices needs to be heard. And festivals like Billy the Kid are our microphone. We need to be heard. So I'm super excited. I love every single thing about festivals and the experience of festivals. I wish I was in person to meet every single one of these individuals, talk about our stories, and see how we can collaborate. And if there's a place where we can post our Instagram feed or our emails on this, because every single person that I've heard from today is a person that I would love to work with, right? I'm living in Austin, Texas. And if we can get that information and we can share that with each other, I think this is the festival. These are the people that we need to do that with. So this is why I'm here. And I'm going to continue to be here. If there's anybody ever needs my help here in Austin, I will be here. And I think that's what festivals are for and why they're important.
There's no way.
Sharon, let's have you weigh in on this. But again, especially as someone who's had a nice amount of success as far as awards and everything, and playing fest. Sharon, I think it'd be great to hear from you on this.
Well, to be honest, I think I discovered at an early age the endorphins that come from just like sitting in a dark room with an audience and hearing them react to different things that you've carefully put together. And I've kind of become a junkie for that forever. And I think that that's what I'm currently missing in the virtual space, not being able to be in that room, with just, with my last film, part of my strategy was just like to take it to as many Texas film festivals as possible. And it was really interesting to hear like what parts resonated with different parts of Texas. Like some people didn't get certain jokes in certain areas, and then some people like really got something else in a different area. And I'm just like, I'm just so attracted to just human connection and seeing like how we can all take a different story in different ways, and just maybe even where we find the same interpretation of one thing as well. I'm just.
And now I want to go to to our buddy in Europe, that's staying up till 2 a.m. to be with us. And this is actually the one, if we're looking for silver linings with how we're doing this, and the fact that I've had so many film festivals where we have had filmmakers from around the world be able to connect with filmmakers in the States, where, to be quite honest, oftentimes the film festivals wouldn't be able to afford to fly in, our filmmakers. So being able to actually have you here, is a benefit for all of us, let alone you. But let's have you talk about this, about, what you personally are getting out of the film festival experience.
Yes, definitely. I have this is also my first short film. So for the film festivals I've been to, it was, soaking up all the wisdom of all the older filmmakers, and here as well, just listening to you and making the connections. And I really missed. I have sent it to a couple of others in the United States and in some other countries, and I couldn't do this like this. So this is great talking with you, and yeah.
Awesome. And as I ask Caitlin now to for her to chime in here, I hope all of you are seeing, and I think most of you have been putting in your contact info, so all of you can continue your filmmaking support group, and and kind of grow that, because it is vitally important that you do that and that you utilize this time. But Caitlin, let's have you weigh in on this, or are you frozen?
No.
Oh,
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So my favorite thing about festival experience is kind of everybody hit it already. It's seeing the other filmmakers and their work. And kind of a funny observation I've seen, at least thus far, is that most of us, especially the directors and writers, are very introverted and very kind of weird and shy. Because I keep thinking it's just my little group that we're all kind of we don't want to interact. But then we start seeing everybody else is kind of shy and sticking to their group, but also being like, oh, I really like your film. I really like this part. And how did you guys do that? And that's the one fun thing, kind of all of us coming out of our shell to communicate with each other, and just seeing other people's work too, is because this is stuff that you won't be able to see on the top of Vimeo or YouTube or anything, because that's usually depicted or evaluated by the algorithm or what other people may find popular or trendy. But this is just stuff from people and their heart, and you can't really find that anywhere else until after festivals are made. And that's what's really enjoyable, especially when you see that person's maybe first or second film, and then you see them going on and succeeding later in their career. It's just so fun and exciting to watch.
Absolutely. Mike, how about you?
How about me what?
Let's talk about your thoughts on going through the film festival experience, and what that means to you and the film.
Are you able to hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, I used the phone number to call in this time. I love it. You get to meet people that you wouldn't normally meet, and it's a great way to collaborate, to like if you see someone that's really, you know, a good actor or a good director or a good sound man, you know, sound is really important in a film. So, you know, finding crew, you know, that you can work with in the future, I think is really important, and that's what film festivals have done for me is resources. That's great. And also, if you happen to win something, that's not bad either.
Absolutely. Okay, who haven't I heard from? How about Aaron? Aaron, I haven't heard from you on this thing. What talk about the film festival experience from your viewpoint?
Yeah. Oh man, I love film festivals. I've been doing it for a few years now, and it's amazing. Like I love sitting, like someone else said, I love sitting in the audience and hearing people's reactions to something I made, or that I'm in, or whatever it is, and just hearing that is like, it's like, you know, you've spent all this time creating this baby, and then you let it out into the world, and you don't know what's going to happen with it, but you're done with it, and you're kind of exhausted with it. You know, you're kind of like, I'm ready for the next thing. Like halfway through the thing you're making, you're ready for the next thing. At least I am. And so when you're finally at festivals and you're watching it with an audience and you're hearing their reactions, it's like, it gives it all new life again. And it's like amazing. And then also the networking and the community. Someone else said the community is amazing. That's my favorite thing ever. And sitting in the theater and watching other people's projects, people you've just met or you're excited to meet, and you watch their project and you go, oh my gosh, I love her eye on this thing, you know, and you're watching all these different people and you're like, oh, I want to meet you, you know, write down their name because you want to meet that person later, because you're like, this is a person I really want to work with. And then you meet them, and then you hang out, and then you become friends. I wouldn't be where I am as an actor or a writer or a filmmaker or whatever without film festivals, because I've met so many colleagues and friends and collaborators at these film festivals, and it's amazing. I love it. It's a little harder with the doing it virtually. I'm terrible. I hear that my film is playing at a film festival. I don't know how to watch it. I don't even know when it's playing. And so I get a little confused, but that's why this is so great. To be able to do this with you guys is really, really cool. I hope we do connect in real life. We connect on social media, and then we can actually collaborate. That'd be great.
All right, Carmen, we haven't heard you for a little while. So let's get you in on this as well.
Yeah, so this is also my first film festival ever. It's my fourth student film that I've done so far, but this is my first time ever actually directing one. So yeah, I'm also really early in my career, but I just graduated, and I'm actually like, it is really awesome to just connect with people who are far more experienced in this field with me, and just different types of filmmakers too. I mean, obviously, we've got a few animation people here, but then also just like, you know, straight traditional filmmakers. Like it's a lot of influence that we take as animators is from just traditional film, and we take a lot of our art direction, a lot of our camera perspectives, and everything like that. We are inspired by what you guys do, and I love that we can just all be here together and connect and just share this infinite wheel of creativity together.
Well, very, very cool. Who have I not? I want to make sure that everybody's had a chance. Megan, yes.
Hi. Actually, I wanted to add, like, I don't disagree with anyone's answers. And I've been this year was my first year out of film school, so I have been very fortunate to, for a movie that I was told would never get into any festivals. It got into a few festivals, including this one, and we won Best Cinematography, and we're nominated for Best Cinematography as well. So, I mean, you don't, at this point, after all that mess, I just wanted to kind of get out of my own bubble, out of the film school bubble, and actually go out into the world and meet other filmmakers and other people who are, I mean, it's infectious. The passion and like the talent and the passion is just like infectious, and I love it, you know. And I guess I'll also let, John didn't talk yet, my DP, John Coy. So I don't know if you want to add as well to that question, John? And you're muted as well.
Okay.
Yay.
Sorry.
There we go. There we go.
Sorry. So sorry, I haven't said anything yet. I'm John Coy. I was the director of photography on The Wolf. We had some technical glitches first. So film festivals, you know, I had kind of a little bit of an experience with festivals when I was younger because I made short films before I went to film school. And so I submitted a few, got into a few local ones, and then eventually went to grad school at OU, and that's where I met Megan, that's where I met Dylan. So my experience with festivals, you know, as a filmmaker kind of disappeared once I got to film school because then, you know, I haven't directed anything since my thesis film. I still write, but professionally, my career kind of took a path towards cinematography and, you know, electrical and stuff. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to be brought back into the film festival conversation as a DP instead of as an aspiring filmmaker. So my perspective has changed over the years. And now I'm a little bit further back and I'm kind of watching the film and the way that other people are experiencing it and the way that Megan is experiencing the process of talking to other filmmakers. And I'm kind of brought into the conversation now that way, which is really cool because I'm getting to meet a lot of people I wouldn't have met otherwise and a lot of interesting folks with new perspectives I hadn't considered. I'm starting to see more, you know, independent films that I didn't have access to before because either I was, I don't know, too busy doing something else and not focusing on what I should be looking at or whatever. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to that just because, you know, camera, lighting, you know, I'm just here to say hi and have some fun.
Well, I do want to, you know, add a couple things as I wrap this up. On our conversation on the side, everybody has brought up the one thing that we are missing is, of course, the required by national film festival law karaoke party. And I will say that you all are missing out on Justina Walford and her annual rendition of the Runaways Cherry Bomb, because it's a can't miss thing, and she's going to get me for saying that. I will leave all of you with this, and that is making the films that we make, you know, on the budgets that we're talking about, and also, and especially in the shorts world, all of you are the support system that will enable each of you to make the next movies and take the next steps up and to get on other film sets, to learn, to bring to your next movies, and vice versa. And that is one of the key things. You know, getting into other festivals, you know, is great. And some of you may be able to, you know, as Brian said, you know, some of us are more veterans than others, and you know, and so therefore, you know, being able to to ask somebody if they've been to, you know, another film festival, and you know, and how are they, you know, are they legit, you know, how do they treat you or whatever, that's invaluable information. And you know, and that's something that you want to lean on. So I can't emphasize enough to friend each other. Make sure that you know that you know add another dozen people into your under your Facebook umbrella. You know, keep those contact lists, you know, strong, and you know, and utilize that, because that is, whether it be during pandemic times, whether it be normal times, that will be oftentimes the thing that will make you be able to shoot another day, you know, and to get another project, you know, on its feet. We are thrilled to death to have each and every one of you as part of the Billy the Kid Film Festival, and you know, and so to speak, also through osmosis as part of the Women Texas Film Festival. So thank all of you for joining in on the conversation. Continue to watch each other's films, and have a great weekend.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Thanks for
Goodbye.
having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
See everybody.
Hey, thank you very much.